Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Now 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship, marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families, dating and relationships. You can discuss all of the issues of life. And our broadcast daily is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. Starts as a tropical rainfall, which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you will save money at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life in Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at New Life Ministries International.com, New Life International CDC.com, or those that use the QR code and the link provided on Facebook and YouTube. We thank all of you for your continued support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I'm aware that there's a lot of new listeners and viewers, and I want to say we thank you for tuning in. As you may or may not know by now, I am Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. So if you're ever in our area, if you're ever in the Philadelphia area, if you're ever in the DC area, come. We invite you to come and worship with us. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. Service begins at 10 a.m. every Sunday at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. And in case all of you are wondering, I know yesterday was Thursday. You know, scheduling permitted, we have with us every month our licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, BeccaTheDietitian.com. But however, as we said, scheduling permitted. So actually, I started off reciting what I normally say, 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. But we are now, you asked for it, you got it. We're on the air for 1 hour every day, scheduling permitted, 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And Becca the dietitian will be joining us today. I know it's Friday, so don't get your days of the week confused. But she consented because we both had scheduling issues yesterday. She was able to come on today at Friday. So she will be joining us at 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. We're going to, prior to Becca the dietitian joining us, BeccaTheDietitian.com, we are going to discuss some of the topics that some of you have sent in by communicating the issues of life that you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. And since we're doing a health and wellness segment today with BeccaTheDietitian.com, I thought it was really productive for us to pull some of the health and wellness communications that you all have sent in that we could answer prior to Becca's arrival. And then she'll get into the nutritional and diet aspects of all of not just your questions, but my questions too, because she's the professional. What we can talk about is the communications that you've sent in regarding health and wellness. And one of our viewers one of our listeners and viewers, asked this question: how do you keep your weight down during the summer months? So I can give you some easy suggestions. Becca will talk about the medical aspects of it, but I can give you some easy suggestions. I will tell you that at this point in my life, every single day, before I get my shower, right after I shave, the first thing I do is get on the scale. So you may want to get a scale and weigh yourself every day, because it will keep you aware of where you are. And that's the reason that I do it, because I give myself a 5-pound window. So that may or may not be effective, but I give myself a 5-pound window because I know that there are going to be ebbs and flows throughout the year when I may gain a little bit, I may lose a little bit, but I give myself that 5-pound window so I have the opportunity to enjoy myself and not be concerned about, is it going to impact my health and wellness? Now, I'm certain that my primary care doctor will tell me you don't want that 5-pound window, but nonetheless, I do give myself a 5-pound window. And so I will say this to you. I get on the scale every single day just to make sure that I know exactly where I am. And I think someone just gave me a high five hand, or just gave a hand, and I actually took it away, but accidentally. But let me say this. I get on the scale every morning because that allows me to know exactly where I am. And then I exercise every day, whether I go to the gym or whether I just exercise at home. I exercise well, when I say every day, I exercise 6 days a week. I do take one day that I don't exercise, just to give my body a chance to, get over whatever soreness I might have from doing something different. And that's a key also. Require your body to do something different, something that you're not doing on a daily basis, so that you can, some form of exercise, whether it's walking, whether it's running, whether it's push-ups, sit-ups, whatever you can do that's different. It's going to challenge your body. It's going to help you keep some of the weight off. And then, of course, I'm sure when Becca, the dietitian, joins us today, she's going to tell us all to make certain that we're eating right. You can have a cheat day, but every day can't be a cheat day. You've got to really make certain that you're intentional about what you're doing to maintain your weight. That's going to be a very important aspect. And then in addition to that, I mentioned exercise. So you've got to really decide what you're going to do that's going to get your heart rate up for at least 30 minutes a day. There's a reason they call people couch potatoes who don't move off the sofa. They plant themselves there and they don't move around. A body in motion stays in motion. So we have to make certain that we're getting our bodies to a place where we're getting some type of return on that investment. So let's make certain that we are not just taking the summer off, for lack of a better term, because it's summer, we can do whatever we want, because then you've got to spend the next 9 months before summer comes again, trying to get back into your beach body, trying to make certain that you get back to the place that you feel comfortable with your weight and what you're doing. There's little things that we can do, but we've got to be intentional about doing them. So, first of all, get yourself a scale if you don't have one. I promise you this. If you get on the scale every day, you're going to know where you are every single day. And you're going to make certain that you make the adjustments. So if I see myself climbing up now I've gotten to the point, and I'm going to say this to you, I've gotten to the point for all of our listeners and viewers. Even if you set yourself a window, I leave myself, I said that 5 pounds. I find myself now not allowing myself to get to the top of my window, to the top of my weight. I find myself if I, am a pound over my target weight or 2 pounds over my target weight, then I tend to eat less. I try to drink more water. And it's good. I tell everyone, encourage everyone, try to drink 50% of your body weight every single day. Whatever that translates to in liters or half liters. Water is one of the main keys to reducing or maintaining our weight. I found that to be a fact. And what you want to make sure is that if you drink enough water, it will help you maintain your appetite so that you don't overindulge in any particular area. And these are all going to be little things that you can do that will add up to a big thing. They will add up to something large that will help you maintain your weight. So getting on the scale every single day, watching what you eat, obviously, getting some exercise. So it's diet and exercise. It's not just diet. It's not just exercise. It's diet and exercise. So you want to make sure that you are eating correctly. I'm going to confess, I don't always eat the best. What I mean by that is sometimes I want a burger, but I'm going to get it from a good place that I know is not going to, they're not selling me refrozen burgers. They're not, you just got to be intentional about all of this. If we're going to keep our health and wellness, if we're going to maintain our health and wellness, we have to be intentional about this. So I'm going to encourage you, just make sure that you weigh yourself every day. Some people will tell you not to do that, but I will tell you it works, because you won't allow yourself to gain much weight if you're monitoring your weight every day. Eat right, drink plenty of water, make sure you stay hydrated, and get plenty of exercise. If you do those things, that's going to help you to maintain your weight, keep your weight down during the summer months. You said in your communication, you tend to eat more during the summer because you're relaxing, I get it. But what happens when fall comes? In our area, you're not in our area, but if you have a change of season also, it just may not be the drastic changes we have here. But at the end of the day, we've just got to make sure that we are trying to maintain good health and wellness. If we do that, we're going to have a better quality of life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, just know that scheduling permitted. Becca, the dietitian, you all been asking about her. Schedules, we've been doing a lot in the month of July. There's a lot of things going on. And for those of you that keep up with us on Facebook, you've already seen it. For those of you who are part of the daily broadcast, that watch the daily broadcast, but you're not on Facebook, you do it through our website or through YouTube. There's been a lot going on. So, scheduling's permitted. We're on the air. We're now on 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Becca, the dietitian, is going to be with us today instead of Thursday, but it's all good because she's still going to give us information that's going to help us enhance our health and wellness. So I just want to remind everyone, she will be here shortly at 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I'm still going to remind all of you that we are in the midst of our monthly FijiWater.com sponsored promo. Go to our internet website, our internet radio station at WKAPfaith.com. The first 3 songs you hear at 11 a.m. or 6 p.m., list those 3 songs, text them along with your name and your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers here in the U.S. will be selected to receive a case of Fiji water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. I'm going to address the communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you feel that at this age, it is difficult to build muscle. And you want to know what would we recommend for you to build muscle. So let me say this to you. You don't build muscle suddenly. That, as we get older, the older we get, and this is where a lot of people drop off, you gotta work out, you gotta lift some weights, you gotta do some, muscle building, because we're all aging every day. But you don't build it suddenly. It takes consistency and time to get results. So you just have to keep going. So let me tell you what that looks like for all of you, for all of our listeners and viewers, because I do the same thing. So we have weights at home. We have a total gym. We have, floor mats. You can do yoga. You can do push-ups, sit-ups, leg lifts, whatever you want to do. Squats. Let me tell you this. Squats are one of the best exercises for the lower body that you could possibly do. Push-ups are one of the best exercises that you could possibly do for the upper body. For the core, obviously, sit-ups, leg lifts, any of those things are going to help. Now, you just have to be consistent about it. So one of the things that I will say that is helpful is for you to actually obviously do something every day. But in addition to that, I would recommend doing it week by week. So for example, push-ups. If you can do 20 push-ups, start there. If you can only do 10, start there. But then each week, add 1. Or each week, add 3. But I would recommend just beefing it up 1 at a time, each week. So think about this. If you started out with 10 for the ladies who may say you can't do push-ups, and for the ladies who can do push-ups, if you start at 20 or 25, next week you go from 10 to 11, or you go from 20 to 21, or you go from 25 to 26. The following week, you go to 12 if you started with 10, you go to 22 if you started with 20, you go to 27 if you started with 25. The following week, you go to 13 if you started with 10. If you started with 20, you go to 23. If you started with 25, you go to 28. Now, you keep doing that. And let's say at the end of 1 month, you've already added 4, right? At the end of another month, you've now added 8. The following month, you will have added 12. So you wouldn't, if you started out with 10, you wouldn't be at 10 anymore, you'd be at 22. You started out at 20, you'd be at 32. You started out with 25, you'd be at 37. My point to this is you just keep building and you just keep going. Now, at some point you may hit a wall. And you might say, well, that's all I can do right now. But then just keep doing it. And then as you get stronger, you can start to add again. These are just little simple things that we can do. For those of you that are doing sit-ups, whatever number of sit-ups you can do and keep adding every week. Always add. You always want to increase slowly. And then when you find it necessary to take a break, take a break. Well, and what I mean with a break, I don't mean stop doing them. I'm talking about taking a break from adding, and that's okay. You can do that. But one of the things you have to do is be consistent. And you have to understand that you're not going to get immediate results. Your results are going to come over time. There's a direct correlation between success, consistency, time, and success. You just have to keep going. And you'll find that you begin to build muscle. It's the same thing if you're in the gym. You start out at one weight level, you keep adding. Now, that's a little different when it comes to weights because you'd have to add 5 on each side, and that's actually 10 pounds. So you want to go with what you start with for a longer period of time. You will then begin to feel stronger. And when you begin to feel stronger, then you can add. When you begin to feel stronger, your mind will say to you, I think I can add 5 on each side, or I think I can add 10 on each side. You'll know because you're able to do a significant amount of reps, maybe 4 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10, you'll get there. But you just got to figure out where you can add, and you have to keep lifting weights, and you'll begin to build muscle. Once again, it's all about consistency and it's about time. It's never going to give you results overnight. There's no such thing as an overnight success. And you don't really want an overnight success. You really want to maximize your opportunities. So that's going to give you what you need to begin the process of starting to build some muscle, because as we get older, we all need to build muscle. And when you're younger, you want muscle because you want to be healthy. You also want to look good. Let's keep it real. So let's just be consistent about trying to build muscle, and you will find that you will get the results that you're searching for. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Comcast Business. I won't even say if, we all need to be more effective in business. We all need to be more efficient in business. Comcast Business will give you the opportunity to do just that. Call Eunice at 603-222-7706. Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope. And with a qualifying bundle, you will receive up to an $800 prepaid Visa gift card at Comcast Business. Reach out to Eunice at 603-222-7706. So I'm going to go back to the fact that one of our listeners and viewers, so this is all about health and wellness, this first part of the broadcast, and Becca the dietitian will take us home. But one of our listeners and viewers indicated that you've heard me say before that I'm a marathon runner, that I've run marathons. And you said that you and your girlfriends have decided you want to run a marathon. So, men, we have a different body than women, obviously. But you asked, what did I do to be able to run and complete marathons? So I'll share that with you. And Becca the dietitian, who will be with us, BeccaTheDietitian.com, will be with us. She also ran a marathon. It was her first marathon this past year, and she is going to continue running them. We've talked about that next year. I'll tell you the reason why. I am running again this year, but I will say this to you. I don't stress myself out about the marathon in the sense of I've got to eat certain things every day leading up to the marathon. I've got to do this every day. I allow my body to dictate what I'm going to do. Now, obviously, I know I have to train, so I'm running mileage to make certain that I get to the point where I can run. When I run a marathon, pardon me, 26.2 miles. I know that at some point in time, not only do I have to run, 18 miles, but I have to run a 21-mile day. And after that, because you're running all week, you don't have to run 26.2 miles to be able to run 26.2 miles. But you do have to get to the point where you're able to at least run 21 on a Saturday when you've trained through the week. So I allow my body to dictate. Now, that's something I had to learn, because what happens is that sometimes you get some minor injuries. You may get shin splints, you may get, a fatigued hamstring that just keeps nagging at you. Pardon me. I need a taste of Earth's Finest Water from FijiWater.com, because I'm dealing with my allergies today. But I say all of that to say, you want to make sure that you do eat right. You do want to make sure that you don't overindulge. You don't want your weight going up and down. When I'm training for a marathon, I tend to make sure that I don't even go above my target weight, which is the base level. I try not to exceed that at all before I run a marathon. I really spend time working on my legs, because 26.2 miles, your legs will get fatigued. You want to try to get to a point where you're comfortable with your time, because the longer you're on the course, the more fatigued you'll be. You want to do what you can do to give yourself an advantage. So it's all about training. It's all about mental preparation, but you want to train like you're running the marathon. And what I mean by that is, if you can train like you're running the marathon when it's time to run the marathon, it will be easy for you. And what I mean by that is, it's never easy, but it's easy for you as a marathon runner. You won't find yourself beating yourself up physically. You won't find yourself beating yourself up mentally. Can I finish this? You will be prepared, because now what you've done is you found your time, you found your rhythm, your body's in rhythm, you know what you have to do, and you are able to not only run, but you're able to run efficiently, and you're able to finish the marathon. That's got to be key. And I'm going to share more with you about that at another time. Becca can also share some of that information with you, because with us right now in 3D is BeccaTheDietitian.com. Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist that you've all been asking for. And Becca is with us. Becca, it is so good to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All is well. Thank you for asking.
All right.
And
Making sure you can hear me okay. I don't usually use these headphones, so.
You sound great.
Perfect.
And we are delighted that you are with us. Would you say hello to all of your fans, please?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back. My background might look a little different than usual. I am at our beach house today, so hopefully there will be no distractions while we're chatting.
You're enjoying the beach. That's a beautiful thing. We were just talking about summer activities, and someone had just asked about running a marathon, and we were really sharing that information, and I told them, you'll give them all of the health aspects of everything. But I also want to take a moment, Becca, because I'm going to let you take it away. I told them I would. But I'm going to ask you to share with all of our listeners and viewers, because if anyone, well, all of you who follow on Facebook will follow our timeline will know this. Becca made an announcement that was exciting to everyone. And Becca, could you share with our listening and viewing audience the good news?
Sure, I would be happy to. So me and my husband are expecting a baby in November.
Congratulations, to God
Thank
be the
you.
glory. We know that you are going to be just an amazing mother, and Andrew's going to be an amazing.
Oh, thank you
No
so
question about it.
much. Yeah,
So
we're
we're going to
excited.
let you take it away today. And I know I had mentioned to you that a few of our listeners and viewers who are also expecting would be able to get some good insight from you. So whatever you want to talk about today, take it away. But congratulations. I wanted everyone to be excited for you because that was an announcement I've known for a while, but of course I wasn't going to share that information. So we'll let you take it away, Becca.
All right, sounds good. So I did want to just kind of start off today. It is vacation season. I'm sure a lot of people have already taken vacations this summer. I know July and August are huge vacation times of year. So whether you're going to the beach, a lake house, the mountains, maybe you're going to an amusement park, something, I wanted to kind of give some tips for everybody for how to not only enjoy yourself, but also maintain your health while you're enjoying that time with your family and your friends, or even just a vacation by yourself, and maybe even a staycation just at home. Of course, vacation's a time we want to relax, kick back, enjoy ourselves, get away from work, get away from school. And a lot of people tend to be a little lazier maybe than they might normally be. And that's great. That's okay. That's your time. You want to do whatever it takes to kind of rejuvenate yourself so that when you do go back from vacation, you're ready to tackle everything. But we do want to still keep in mind a few health tips during that time. So I'm going to just keep it really simple and just go over kind of the three main things I like to focus on when I am on vacation. And I'm on vacation in August, so I still have that to look forward to this summer.
Nice.
So really what it comes down to is food choices, staying hydrated, and staying active. So I'll start off with the food choices. So, there's lots of temptations around on vacation, and we're going to indulge more than we normally would, most likely. And that is perfectly fine. You should enjoy yourself on vacation. You should get the ice cream, get the popcorn, get the lobster roll, whatever it might be. But we want to try and balance those maybe not as great choices for our health, but definitely great for, our souls and everything. We want to try and balance them out with some good choices as well. So I like to just say, if you're going to have something maybe not so great, have something great with it. That way you're still getting that good nutrition in. So if you want to go out to eat and get a burger with fries, or I'm trying to think what, popular foods to eat in the summer are hot dogs, cheesesteaks. I guess it depends on where you're vacationing. If you're at the beach, maybe more fried seafood type fare. If you're in the mountains, it could be more comfort food, things like that. But I always like to say, get your fruits and veggies. You can always turn something maybe more negative into something positive just by adding fruits and vegetables, getting that fiber in, getting those different nutrients and antioxidants that are going to be really beneficial for our total body health. So just, if you're having something like that, order a side of veggies, order a side salad, split an entree salad, and maybe split another entree with someone else. Do whatever you can to get those fruits and vegetables in. We want to aim for 2 to 3 servings a day of both food groups, ideally from different colors. So, we've got our greens, our blues, our reds, yellows, whites, purples, so many different colored vegetables and fruits. We want to try to get a variety of those colors every day. So that's my challenge for you this summer when you're on vacation, is to get what you want to get, but just make sure you have veggies or fruit with it. And then the other part of that challenge is to eat the vegetable or the fruit first, because that way you're going to fill up on that most nutritious part of the meal. And there's going to be maybe a little bit less room for the good stuff, or, the good stuff. So you might be more likely to eat a smaller portion, and then you could take the rest for leftovers or split with someone else. So, you're bringing that good nutrition in, and you're still enjoying yourself, but maybe not in the volume that you would have had it if you didn't have those fruits and vegetables first. So wherever you're at, try and get those fruits and veggies in. Now, the second part is hydration. So it has been extremely hot this year. I think over the 4th of July, it was like some of the hottest recorded days in the history. Well, since we've been recording temperature, it's been the hottest recorded all over the world. So with that, our fluid requirements are going to increase. So we need more water, we need more fluids. If you're not a fan of just drinking water, you can add fruit or vegetable to your water to flavor it. You can try some of the flavored seltzer waters. Unsweetened iced tea is one of my personal favorites in the summer. You can even add a splash of juice to your water just to give it a little bit more flavor. Sports drinks, if you're sitting out or exercising in the heat this summer, it might be beneficial for you to drink a sports drink either before, during, or after that activity, just to help replete some of those electrolytes you could be losing through your sweat. So if you're outside in the hot temperatures for an hour or more, it's probably a good idea to do some form of sports drink. And we want to be conscious of the added sugar. Maybe do like a lower calorie version that still has the electrolytes if you're not being active. And then if you are being active, it would be okay to have one of those ones that does have a little bit more sugar. So those are important things to keep in mind, especially when consuming alcohol. Try and alternate your hydrating beverage with alcoholic beverage, because alcohol will dehydrate you. So definitely stuff to keep in mind. Make sure you've got a water bottle on you at all times. I find that to be so helpful all throughout the year. I've either got my reusable, refillable water bottle with me at all times, or, if I'm in a hurry, I might just grab a plastic throwaway water bottle to bring with me. I try and keep a couple extras in the car just so that I've always got them in there too. Whatever it takes to get that
Yes.
hydration in. It's so important, especially with how hot it's been. And then a few signs to look out for if you do start to get like a little dizzy, a little faint feeling, your vision starts to kind of close in or get a little bit patchy. Those are signs you definitely need to step up your hydration. And even just feeling more generally fatigued can be a sign of dehydration as well. Now, the third point that I just wanted to make about the vacation time is that, we want to try and be active. It doesn't mean you have to go for like a long training run if you're training for a marathon. Doesn't even mean you have to do a spin class or find a gym to go lift weights in. Just be active any way you can. Take a walk in the morning. If you are at the beach or in the mountains, it's easy to get out there first thing early before it gets too hot, get some steps in. It's a great way to wake up your body for the day and get some early sun exposure. That's actually really helpful in regulating our hormones and regulating our circadian rhythm as well. So there's even more benefits aside from just the movement with that too. So if you're at an amusement park, for instance, it's probably going to be a lot easier to get your steps in because you're going to be walking all over the place. So you don't have to necessarily worry about it there, but sometimes it's a good idea to just kind of think ahead to what your vacation is going to look like and pre-plan some activities throughout your stay or your vacation that are a little bit more active. So try and have a balance of that relaxation, but also movement and activity in the things that you're doing on your vacation as well. So that was pretty much it. Those are my 3 things. So adding good nutrition while you're vacationing, staying hydrated, and trying to also add some activity in as well.
So what's really interesting, Becca, is that now that we're doing 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., and I told everyone that you'd be with us, scheduling permitted, you'd be with us today, as opposed to Thursdays, this early part of the month, because there was so much going on scheduling But I have to tell you, we pulled some of the communications and started talking about them a little earlier. And I said to everyone, so it sounds like this was a setup, because I said to everyone, I said, Becca's going to come and give you all the health aspects of the medical aspect of it. And we were talking, one of the listeners and viewers asked the question, how do you contain your weight during the summer? Because, she indicated that she and her husband eat more during the summer, and you started talking about those things. And I'll tell you, we talked about being intentional. We talked about making certain that you made a very good point though. You said eat your vegetables and fruit prior to eating. I picked up on that, and I hope everyone else did also, because that makes real sense. We got to make it make sense, right? The fact of the matter is that we don't think about these little things we can do to improve. So that was an excellent point. We have to be intentional about everything we do. So Becca just said, let's eat our fruits and vegetables prior to, and I mentioned, and this is why I said it sounds like a setup. I mentioned, I might like a good burger, but I'm going to make sure I go someplace that has really good quality burgers. They're not frozen and recooked or whatever the case may be, but I'm not going to overdo it. And maybe instead of burgers and fries, I'm just going to get a burger. So it's the little things we can do, and you hit it right on the head. And when you talked about the hydration, that's something I mentioned a little earlier also. I said, I try to drink 50% of my body weight every day, but we've got to stay hydrated. And water is really a key for helping us to maintain our weight. Now, I am going to ask you a question because I want to hear this from you. So I weigh myself every day, and people say that you shouldn't do that. But I found that it helps me being intentional about not allowing me to get out of my 5-pound range. And on top of that, I tend to now look to staying at the lower end of that range. So if I see myself creeping up a couple pounds, then I do something different, like you said. So what are your thoughts on weighing yourself every day? Because I was sharing that with our listeners and viewers before you arrived.
Yeah. So this is it's going to differ person to person. So I weigh myself every day too, just because I just do.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm being a little selfish. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But there's some people who it might not be helpful to weigh themselves every day. If you're in a place where you're not happy with your weight, and seeing that reminder every single day is just putting you in a negative place to either start your day or finish your day, whatever time you weigh yourself, it might not be a good idea to do it every day. And same if you have an active eating disorder, or if you've ever had an eating disorder, or even just have what's not necessarily an eating disorder, but disordered eating or body image issues. Sometimes weighing yourself every day can kind of exacerbate those negative thoughts, depending on what you're seeing on the scale. I mean, if it's a number that you like, maybe not, but if it's a number you don't like, there's definitely some potential to spiral there. So, you have to be very careful. You have to know yourself and know what's right for you with that. Pastor Pope.
Does everyone see how Becca just cleaned that up for me? Because I was saying you might want to get on the scale every day. She made a very good point. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's a very valid point.
That's perfect. Yeah. So we just, what works for you and I might not work for other people. It might not work, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, and that's fine. The other thing I was going to say too was, you've probably noticed when you weigh yourself, it changes from day to day.
It does.
Right? And it can sometimes change by a few pounds from one day to the next day.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's
why I give myself that 5-pound range.
Yeah, I like that. So that's really something to keep in mind, because if you are going to see that change and be like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do wrong? I thought I did everything right. Why did my weight go up 3 pounds from yesterday? There's a lot of other factors. You didn't truly gain 3 pounds in a day. It would be very, very hard for that to happen. It's more likely fluid retention, or maybe you ate a salty meal the day before. Maybe you didn't drink enough water. Maybe you drank some alcohol, maybe you did a really hard workout. There's a lot of things that can kind of influence that day-to-day weight. So that's something else to keep in mind. It's not necessarily, but that's also why I do like to weigh myself every day, because I like to have, several numbers and then kind of take an average of that and figure out where it might be falling. So,
Well, you're better than I haven't gotten to the point where I'm averaging them. I'm just like, okay, if I put on 2 pounds and like you said, I know I really haven't gained 2 pounds, but if I'm up 2 pounds today, then I'm going to maybe eat a salad today and drink some more water today, and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
but it makes sense. And what Becca's saying for all of us, and I know we're chatting it up and having a good time, but what we're saying is that you've got to know yourself, but you got to be intentional about our health and wellness, because we all really, and I can honestly tell you, I've been looking at all of the communications that come in about your segments every month, and people really believe that their lives are changing.
Oh, I love hearing that.
They believe that they're making progress. I've had people say, my health is better now than it has been in 10 years. It's amazing how being aware and being intentional changes everything. It's
so true.
Then we just have to be consistent about it, and we have to take, and this is what I talked about a little bit before your arrival, is that it's consistency and time bound, because you're not going to get results overnight.
Right.
But you will get results if you just keep going, if you just stay with it. And that's why Becca is with us every month to enhance our health and wellness. And shout out to all of you that have communicated and said, this is the best thing that's happened in your life as far as your health and wellness is concerned, because we are changing, and we want you to be whole in your body, mind, and spirit. So speaking of, before I do a little business with sponsors, speaking of whole, Becca is expecting. She shared with us all, and we saw it on. So Becca, there have been a few of our listeners and viewers who are also expecting. So I'm going to ask you if you would kind of take them through what you're experiencing, because this is good for, those who are expecting and those who someday want to be expecting. So if you would share what your experience has been thus far. And Becca said she's due in November. I'm looking forward to seeing that little angel. But share with our listeners and viewers, because this is exciting.
Yeah, well, I will say it's been a learning experience for me. My whole career, I've kind of focused more so on the adult population, and you do have to have basic knowledge of, pediatrics, nutrition throughout the life cycle. So from conception to end of life, in order to pass your board. So I do have to know a little bit, but I wouldn't say I specialize in that area. So I've definitely.
And I should say, when you say this has been a learning experience, this is Becca's first.
This is my first. Exactly. Yep. So, and it's been humbling. I will say that too. There's a lot I did not know. There was a lot of things that I expected they would go one way and they went another. So what I would like to share in that area is that, before, whenever we made the decision that we're ready to become parents, let's start the process. I really cleaned up my diet. I pretty much eliminated all processed foods aside from ice cream, because I can't live without ice cream. I was eating a really balanced whole foods diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. I was feeling really good about my diet at that time. And I felt really good about myself and my health. My numbers looked great, everything like that. I get pregnant and we're happy, we're excited. Pretty quickly, I realized there are some foods that I'm very used to eating that my body just does not tolerate right now. It does not want any part of these. So like ground turkey, pretty much any type of nut, I was just totally turned off of. Coffee, I still haven't had any coffee since I've been pregnant. So there was a lot of things that I had gotten so used to eating them, and it was frustrating. It was frustrating for me because I'm like, I know these are good for me. I should be eating them, but I just can't do it. And I had to fill in those things because, I'm growing life inside of me.
Yeah.
I have some higher nutrient needs than beforehand. So I had to kind of supplement some of those foods with things that weren't as desirable compared to what I had been doing. So started eating, maybe a little bit more processed foods, things like that. And I finally realized, like, it's okay. You just have to listen to your body. You have to do what works for you. You have to be patient with yourself. It's not going to go according to plan in pregnancy, and probably not once the child arrives either. So this is just probably helping me prepare myself for parenthood in a way. But, it can be frustrating because, there's foods that you should be eating for proper growth and development, but that's just not always going to work for you. And you just have to do the best that you can, make the best decisions you're able to make. If you're dealing with morning sickness or things like that, it's going to be even more challenging. I've been very lucky. I haven't really had any kind of symptoms like that aside from food aversions. But that gets very tricky. And sometimes you can't keep anything down. So you really have to work in those types of situations. You really want to work closely with the doctor. You should definitely be working with a registered dietitian to find some ways to get nutrition into your body, so that, your baby can grow and develop as it should. But the big thing is take your prenatal vitamins. I try and take those every day. Forgotten here and there, but for the most part, you want to always take your prenatal vitamins. Those are really, really important.
Important, absolutely.
Very important. Yeah.
Very important. Absolutely.
So, and then
So
also oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say the last part is just, maybe your activity level, you won't have the energy to be quite as active as you were before. And that's okay too. You just have to listen to your body, maybe take it a step back, change up your workout routine, find a way to be active that is feasible for you at that time. So if it's just walking, that's okay. Just try and do something.
So it's very interesting. You referred to some of the food aversions. Now, I will say this about Becca, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You've always been the picture of health. You've always done so. I know there's been a few of you that have shared you're expecting. You want to talk about some of those things, and there are others, I'm sure, who are expecting that. I haven't heard from regarding this. So it's real important that you understand something. So Becca, before pregnancy, before she decided that that you both were ready to have a child, you were doing the right things prior to that. So for those who desire to become pregnant, you may want to start getting on a regimen of doing the right things, making the changes that are necessary to prepare, because it's all about preparation, right, Becca?
Absolutely.
And then secondly, if you don't mind, share with our listeners and viewers about you mentioned the food aversions. You did talk a little bit about, you don't want nuts now, which is something that you have an aversion to now. And what else have you found that you normally would eat? Because you weren't big on processed foods. And I heard you mention you've eaten a few processed foods now because
Yes.
You wanted to replace. So what did that look like for you?
So beforehand, I might have been snacking on fruit and nuts, or maybe cheese and nuts, or yogurt and fruit, or something like that. My snacks these days have turned to, maybe a bag of chips, packaged peanut butter crackers. I definitely am still getting the fruit in there. Mm-hmm. And I try and get my veggies with every meal as well. But it's definitely, it's okay to give in to some of these cravings every once in a while, as long as you're still working on the positive things too.
But you made a very good point. You're listening to your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're also listening to your child, your unborn child, because there are things that you are going to desire. Now, you mentioned morning sickness. So you haven't dealt with a lot of that.
Nope, I've been super lucky. No morning sickness.
Well, and part of that is because of the preparation that you put in also, just before becoming pregnant, eating right, being hydrated, doing all of the right things. None of us are perfect, but we can do what we can do. We can do our part. We trust God for the rest, but if we do our part, we're going to find that, as Becca said, she's not dealing with a lot of morning sickness. So there are some things that you can do to make certain that you have the best pregnancy that you can possibly have. And part of that is listening to your body and also listening to your mind. If your mind is right, just saying, okay, I know that I'm past creating life. I'm carrying life, and I need to supply what the baby needs also, because you're eating for two now, which I'm sure is different for you also.
Yep, definitely eating a lot more than I'm used to.
Okay, so what kind of exercises are you doing? Because Becca's always exercised. So what type of exercises are you doing? Share that with our listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. So my walking hasn't changed from pre-pregnancy to, during this pregnancy. I have a dog who's very energetic, so I have to take him for several walks a day. He gets 2 to 3 walks a day, so I get 2 to 3 walks a day.
Yes.
And when I'm at work during the day and he's not around, I take myself for a walk at lunchtime every day. So that is the same. I was doing that before. I'm still doing that now. And I, even on the days when I'm most tired, I never let the tiredness get in the way of those walks, because that is just so important to get that baseline movement in. In terms of workouts, so beforehand, I was doing a lot of high intensity strength training, lots of running, lots of spin classes. The first few months, I went from working out probably like 4 to 5 days a week to maybe 3 days a week, if that, 2 to 4 days, I'll say, as a range, depending on the week. And I had to kind of lower the intensity. So I'm still able to run, I'm still able to do the cycling classes, but in terms of the weightlifting, I'm trying to go easier on myself, do a little bit lighter weight than before, just to, not overdo it. Because you can't overdo it. And if you find you're getting just completely exhausted from a workout, you've overdone it. It shouldn't be, you should feel energized after your workout. You shouldn't feel like you're ready for a nap. Yes. So that's been a change. And of course the frequency of too is a big change. I was doing, probably more than 4 to 5 days a week. It was probably more like 5 to 6 days a week I was working out before. And now it's 3 to 4. So it's a lot less than it had been. It's still a good amount of workouts a week. It's just less than I'm personally used to. So I had a lot of guilt around that at first, but again, I'm just trying to listen to my body and what it needs. And you have to remember that.
So I'm glad Becca shared that information with our listeners and viewers. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit, because the significant others, the husbands that are involved, how's Andrew doing with the pregnancy, and what's his eating habits? Has he increased his eating habits? Because the men are involved in this too. So all of you who are, all of our listeners and viewers who are expecting, your husbands are your significant others are important also. So what can they do to make sure that they don't start eating?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will say, so before we decided we were ready to start the process, I had him taking vitamins as well, because now I don't know the exact facts and figures of this, but I know that infertility and fertility issues are very common nowadays, and a lot of women tend to blame themselves, but I think the majority of the cases, I believe, actually have more to do with the men. So I was really focused on making myself my healthiest self, but also making sure that my husband was healthy too. So I started him on a multivitamin that he was taking every day. He is also very active. We usually walk the dog together. I always try and make time for him to exercise. Yeah, he is a big dog. So, we made good food choices together. Now, his eating habits are pretty much the same, with the exception that I am probably tempting him with sweets more often. So I'm like, oh, let's go get ice cream. Why don't we buy these treats this week? So we both realized we were overdoing it. So we're like, okay, we have to make a change. We got to reel it in. So now we're kind of being a support for one another. Like, no, we had, a treat the other day. Let's wait a few more days. Let's wait until the weekend. So kind of using one another to be successful in that way is really helpful too.
Excellent. Excellent. So I think that's a good example for our listeners and viewers to try that also. Just make sure that your spouse, if you're planning the process and make sure you're doing all of those things. Becca's given us good information, and I'm glad that you were able to share this. Are there any particular products that you're using, Becca, that you can recommend?
Yeah, so I have been using, I'm looking at it on the counter right now, Nature Made's prenatal vitamin. It has a little bit of a higher level of DHA, which is really important for neurological development, so the brain and the spinal cord. So not only will your baby have hopefully a healthy brain, but also they might be a little bit smarter if you give them a little bit more
Yes.
DHA. So
Excellent.
so that is the one thing I'm using every day. And